You might think they're just words, but what if I told you that some expressions you repeat automatically are sabotaging your spiritual life, blocking your finances, and making your soul sick? Yes, it's strong, but it's real. There are people who pray for miracles and, on the same day, declare curses without realizing it, all because they learned to treat words as if they were wind. But in the spiritual world, words are seeds, and seeds always bear fruit. What you plant most in your home environment bears fruit. There are expressions that seem harmless but carry spiritual weight. Words that release filth, ruin, bitterness, fear, diseases, betrayal. These 7 expressions, which most people use as venting, are opening gaps, invisible doors for poverty, scarcity, and confusion to settle inside your house. It's not about being radical or religious, but about being conscious of the principles that, when broken, break our lives. We must be careful with the words we speak because the spiritual world moves through words. You don't need to have an angel's vocabulary, but you need to stop self-sabotaging with phrases that hand over the authority God gave you to the wrong hands. Prepare to discover what almost no one teaches you. Words create realities, and as long as you keep calling chaos life, heaven won't be able to act with order. As long as you declare defeat with your mouth, there's no point in asking for victory through prayer. Want to see real change? Then pay attention to each of these 7 expressions. And when you realize that any of them is part of your daily life, know that you're already facing a powerful choice. Listen to all the words, because today's second to last one might contain the exact sign God wants to show you. Before we begin this spiritual journey, I want to invite you to write in the comments now the phrase, "God takes care of me." This simple attitude is a sign of faith, of unity with this community, and of openness to hear what heaven wants to speak. Many brothers and sisters who follow this channel do so because, unfortunately, they don't have a nearby church or support network, someone who can counsel them. When you comment, like, and subscribe to the channel, you strengthen this environment of communion, bringing hope to those who need it. Each "God takes care of me" that you write is like a lit lamp, illuminating your path, and also that of the many who will come after. Let's start with the first word, which is shit. This word sows filth in the spirit, and whoever plants contamination reaps destruction. There are people who don't even notice, but live throwing rotten seeds with their own mouth. Every time they let out that ugly little word, which seems like just a figure of speech, what shit. They're planting filth directly into their own spirit. And there's no point trying to sugarcoat it. Words carry energy, vibration, intention. They create invisible realities that later manifest in matter. It's like watering your own life with mud and expecting to harvest flowers. If you enter a house and feel a heavy atmosphere, you can be sure it wasn't just the smell of yesterday's frying. Often, it's the accumulation of cursed words thrown without filter that stick to the walls like spiritual dust. Shit isn't just a dirty word. It's an authorization you give to the spirit of scarcity to settle in. Have you noticed that those who use this expression most live surrounded by confusion, emotional poverty, and problems in chains? And then you might be thinking, but I only said it without meaning it. It happens that the spiritual world doesn't play with intention interpretation. What is said has weight and has consequences, a good practical alternative. Replace the impulse with something neutral or even positive. Instead of shit, say wow or even mercy, which besides everything still invokes divine compassion. It might seem small, but it's already a powerful beginning. Wise people learn to sanitize their vocabulary like someone cleaning a temple, because that's exactly what it is. The mind is a sanctuary, and words are the incense burned inside it. If they're dirty, the smell spreads through life. And the worst part, it generates contamination in chains. The child hears, repeats, the environment becomes toxic, and the blessing becomes increasingly distant, all because of a little word thrown automatically. So before complaining that your life is full of wrong things, ask yourself, could it be that you yourself are declaring destruction? There are people who tie up their own fulfillment with small phrases, almost innocent, but that have curse power embedded. The power of the spoken word is real, and that's why we need to talk about the next expression, which many people use without even noticing the spiritual prison it brings. Let's now go to the second word, which is drug. Even as an expression, it carries the weight of addictions and prisons. Words open doors. Drug seems harmless, doesn't it? Just a word thrown in the middle of frustration. But those who understand the codes of the Spirit know nothing is just a figure of speech. Every time someone lets out a drug in front of a problem, they're launching a kind of spiritual invitation for the weight of addictions, emotional prisons, and scarcity to approach. It's no coincidence that this word is so linked to dependency, destruction, and personal collapse. Imagine an invisible door. Every time you say drug, this door opens slightly, and you don't always notice who or what enters through it. Have you noticed how children who grow up hearing drug this, drug that, end up reproducing this same frustration? And worse, they often face, years later, internal battles against real addictions, compulsions, self-sabotage, and even chronic emotional poverty. Words shape futures. Is there an alternative? Of course there is. Wisdom lies in training the mouth before the impulse. When something goes wrong, take a deep breath and try another reaction. Let's go. Patience. I'll solve this. Are phrases that don't deny the problem, but keep the door of blessing open. It might seem too simple, but that's exactly where the secret lies. God's Spirit acts in the environment where faith is greater than frustration and where words don't sabotage miracles. The person who lives declaring drug ends up getting used to the idea that everything is a problem, and this becomes a pattern. Small difficulties become monsters, and any obstacle becomes an abyss. But when vocabulary changes, the brain reprograms, and the heart begins to breathe relief. It's like leaving a verbal prison and entering a place of clarity. Miracle? No. It's just the natural effect of not opening the wrong door with the wrong key. Now tell me, if the word drug already brings so much heavy stuff embedded, why continue using it? Maybe because you still haven't noticed the weight you carry when you say these words on impulse or in the moment of anger. Let's now go to the third word, which is what hell? You attract what you declare. Don't invoke what Jesus already conquered. What hell? And there goes another sentence being thrown as if it were just venting. But what many don't understand is that every word has a spiritual address. When someone says this, they are, without realizing it, giving legality for chaos, oppression, and spiritual confusion to enter through the door of the soul. It's like lighting a candle for what should have been extinguished long ago. Jesus conquered hell, but there are people who insist on calling it back. This expression seems small, but it's too powerful to be said carelessly. How many times, in a moment of anger, have you let out this term and seen the situation get worse right after? It's not superstition, it's principle. Words build atmospheres. When someone says, "This place is hell," the environment responds. Peace withdraws, God's Spirit grieves, and the blessing that was about to manifest retreats. All because of a poorly thrown phrase. Replacing this expression is a matter of spiritual intelligence. Instead of declaring what's bad, declare what you want to see. Change what hell to God is in control, or this will change. Seems silly. Then try it for a week and observe how the atmosphere in your house begins to change. Even the tone of conversations changes, conflicts decrease, and the spirit of scarcity loses strength. This is practical spirituality. And there's more. The child who hears the father say, "This place is hell," grows up thinking chaos is normal, that living under pressure is standard, that nothing works out anyway. This generates a generation marked by fear, anxiety, and lack of perspective. The hell that is spoken today becomes the emotional future of those who hear you. Have you ever imagined how much curse we could avoid just by changing one phrase? And if you thought this was the worst expression in your vocabulary, wait until you notice the spiritual poison hidden in the next word. And the fourth word is, I hate. This releases curse and feeds bitterness. Where hatred reigns, the spirit is silent. There are people who use the word hate like drinking water, several times a day without thinking. I hate Mondays. I hate my life. I hate that guy. And they don't realize that every time they declare hate, they're signing a spiritual sentence. Hatred is like an anchor that ties you to the worst. Hurt, soul poverty, and blockages. And the worst, where hatred dwells, God's spirit withdraws in silence because he doesn't coexist with darkness. Saying I hate frequently is like watering the root of the soul with poison. It might seem like an exaggeration, but observe how people who live hating always have broken relationships, weakened health, and live in cycles of emotional scarcity. Hatred paralyzes. It sucks faith, closes ears to God's direction, and attracts curse. It's like declaring war on your own spirit and expecting to live in peace. Want a practical example? Start today replacing every I hate with something healing. Instead of I hate this job, say this job is challenging but I'm learning. Instead of I hate so-and-so, say so-and-so provokes me but I'm working on myself. Seems like self-help? No. It's spiritual strategy, because miracles begin where words build bridges, not where they dig abysses. The mouth is the megaphone of the soul. And those who repeat hatred end up manifesting a reality full of war. Have you seen people who hate everything but never win anything? It's because they live so intoxicated with heavy words that the surrounding environment refuses to flourish. The blessing even tries to arrive, but finds the door locked by declarations loaded with curse. Remember, you'll never see fulfillment where hatred plants roots. And if I hate already contaminates so much, imagine the damage that an apparently innocent phrase like I'm broke can cause in someone's life. And this is the fifth word, I'm broke. This prophecies ruin. Life is shaped by faith or by fear. When someone says, I'm broke, they might be referring to an empty pocket, but spiritually, they're decreeing total bankruptcy. It's more than venting, it's contrary prophecy. Life, you know, listens to what we say. And if you live saying you're broke, that's exactly what reality begins to deliver you. Poverty, when fed by the mouth, finds fertile ground to settle in the spirit, and then spreads to all areas. The worst is that this type of expression usually comes loaded with emotional truth. The person says it laughing, but feels it crying. And that's where the danger lies. Faith and fear operate on the same principle, but with opposite destinations. Saying, I'm broke, is using faith in reverse. It's declaring scarcity instead of provision. You think it's just a joke, but the spiritual world doesn't work with sarcasm. It responds to what was released with sincerity. Want a healthier path? Change I'm broke to I'm under reconstruction, I'm going through adjustments, or even I'm awaiting my financial miracle. It's different, isn't it? Because instead of closing the cycle with ruin, you open space for blessings to enter. The speech changes, and with it, the atmosphere also changes. God honors those who declare with faith what they don't yet see but believe. There are people who, even with little money, live with dignity, hope, and purpose. Why? Because they don't accept that scarcity defines their identity. They know that the mouth prophesies and prefer to throw words that shape the future with abundance. They understand that reality is not the end of the story, it's just the visible part. And that's why they don't call themselves broke, but in movement. Now, if declaring broke already causes spiritual delay, imagine the damage of something even heavier like, I'm screwed. Yes, this is the sixth word, I'm screwed. Agreeing with failure is rejecting favor. Your words generate reality. I'm screwed. Short phrase, but with the weight of a sentence. When someone says this, they're basically signing an agreement with failure. It's as if they said, I gave up fighting and accepted that there's no way out. But the truth is, there's always a way out. It just doesn't reveal itself to those who use their mouth as an instrument of self-defeat. Words have creative power. And when you declare ruin, the world around you responds with more closed doors. Agreeing with failure is more than pessimism. It's rejecting God's favor. Because where faith should be building bridges, the mouth is digging holes. And there's no point spiritualizing everything and praying, asking for miracles, if at the same time you say you're screwed. Heaven moves by faith, not by victimhood. Those who live saying they're screwed are, in practice, refusing the blessings that were already on their way. Can this be changed? Certainly. Start changing I'm screwed to phrases like, I'll get out of this. It's difficult, but there's a solution. God is with me in this. It seems like little, but the Spirit catches it. Faith feeds on words, and just as a well-fed body reacts better, a well-nourished spirit rises with more strength. If you say you'll win, your soul already begins to walk in that direction, even without seeing the way out yet. Those who walk with faith have already understood that the words that come out of the mouth are like seeds in the spiritual world. And there's no way to plant ruin and harvest miracles. People who live saying they're screwed are usually also surrounded by scarcity, weight, and repetition of cycles. Not because God moved away, but because the word itself created a wall where there should be a bridge. And if I'm screwed already carries such blockage, think with me, what happens when someone says, my life is chaos? And this last but perhaps most important one is, my life is chaos. This speech hands control to the enemy. God is order, not confusion. My life is chaos. A common phrase, almost automatic. But spiritually, this declaration hands over something much more serious. The command of one's own existence into the hands of confusion. When someone says this, they're saying, between the lines, that they lost control, that order left, that mess won. And the problem is that when chaos is assumed as identity, blessing moves away. God doesn't act where disorder reigns. Have you noticed how those who live saying this begin to attract even more mess? The car breaks down, money disappears, relationships fall apart, and everything seems to go off track. Coincidence? No. It's the result of a poorly constructed verbal atmosphere. When the mouth affirms that everything is disorganized, the spirit begins to shape itself by this pattern. And what was just a difficult phase becomes a lifestyle. God's Spirit operates in order, not in disorder. Want to transform the environment? Start with the declaration. Instead of, my life is chaos, try saying, I'm adjusting things. My life is under restructuring. God is putting everything in place. This changes the focus. The situation might still be difficult, yes, but you're prophesying alignment, not accepting confusion. It's a gesture of faith. And faith, as you've already understood, changes everything. It's interesting to note that great leaders, people of faith, never verbalize chaos. Even in the middle of the storm, they say, it will pass. God is in control. There's a purpose in this. It's not theater, it's spiritual wisdom. Because the more you verbalize mess, the harder it is to see the miracle that's already being sown behind the scenes. And what could be a moment of growth becomes a cycle of continuous affliction. And if up to here you've realized how much words build or destroy, then you're ready to understand why these 7 expressions need to be banned from your house right now. Now tell me, after all this, which of these words still has residence in your mouth? Which of them have you been feeding without realizing, and maybe paying the price in areas of your life that you don't even relate to this? It's strong, I know, but necessary. You weren't created to live under curse, but under blessing. But for that, you need to start by cleaning your vocabulary. Words have spirit, and what you speak today defines what you live tomorrow. Maybe it's time to do a verbal cleaning, to stop for a few minutes and reflect. What have I been declaring about my life, my house, my children? Could it be that I'm not using my own tongue to raise walls where there should be bridges? And if you realize that yes, great. That's already the first step to transformation. Now, to seal this journey, I want to ask you something special. If you really stayed with me until here, with an open heart, write in the comments, "My mouth speaks blessing." This phrase is not just a confirmation that you listened to the end. It's a confession of surrender. It's a way of saying to yourself, to the spiritual world, and to God that you're willing to leave behind whatever is necessary to do the Lord's will. I will read each of these comments and will know who are those who, besides listening, decided to act. Now, I make a sincere appeal to you. If you're not yet subscribed to this channel, do it now. And not just for me or for numbers, but because each subscription here is like a stone thrown in the river of eternity. It generates waves that reach lives far beyond what we can imagine. Imagine if in a lost village a candle was lit in the midst of darkness. Now imagine that instead of protecting and strengthening it, people ignored it. The wind would come and the light would go out. Such are projects like this channel. They need your care, your support, your active participation. Each like, each comment, each share is fuel in the spiritual fire that keeps this light burning. Don't think it's small. Don't think it's insignificant. What you do here is part of the great work that God is performing. If you're already subscribed, feel proud. You are part of those who keep this torch raised for other tired travelers to find the way. But if you're not yet, reflect. Why leave for later what can bless lives now? And more, share this video. Don't keep to yourself what God delivered to you today. Maybe a simple share could be the sign someone has been begging for in prayer. Finally, before closing, I ask you, remain a few more minutes in silence. Let the music that accompanies this video penetrate your heart. Don't close the window yet. Don't break this so precious connection. Use this moment to thank for the deliverance God is preparing, for the new direction that's about to be revealed, for the doors He will open, and also for those that in love He will close. Praise in silence. Pour out your heart. Feel the gentle presence of the Spirit hovering over you. Don't be in a hurry. Haste cuts the thread of the sacred. Remain, breathe, and allow God's peace, which surpasses all understanding, to completely envelop your being. May the Lord bless you. May He strengthen you for each new decision, and may He lead you with a firm hand and loving heart along the best path He has already prepared. Until the next meeting where new truths and revelations await us, in Jesus' name, amen.